Hello, hi everyone listening to us at the Virtual Jug podcast, and to those who are watching us using the actual video on YouTube. And in general, if you can hear us, greetings to you, my friends. So today we're here at Rebel Labs interview with Markus Eisele, who is at MyTheor on Twitter, and he's a developer advocate at Red Hat, and he's a Java champion. And in his own words, he's living for solutions.
Hi, Oleg.
Hi, Markus. So currently you're working mostly on JBoss middleware, and you have 14 years of experience with architecture and Java EE, and speaking at conferences and consultancy, and writing Java EE related books. So hopefully we can just breeze through this interview. And I just want to thank you again for the excellent virtual jug session on Java EE architecture and covering a lot of ground on microservices. So maybe we'll touch about on those subjects. But we'll start with really, really fast-paced questions, like blitz questions that we like to ask every speaker. So what do you think? Is computer science a real science?
Of course.
And great, you don't have to elaborate. So static or dynamic typing?
Static.
Really? Okay, so what is the worst habit a programmer can have?
Not learning.
That's awesome. What's your favorite JVM language?
Java?
Good. Conservative, but very solid and respectful. And your favorite open source project?
Wildfly still.
So Nor Krillin?
There are so many of them.
Yeah, it's tough, especially in the developer's advocate role. So what do you think? What's the best setup for developer workstation, Mac or PC, and what IDE would you prefer?
Actually, I use a PC for a reason. Mac always has been that kind of graphic workstation for me, and I still use NetBeans a lot.
Oh, that's great. Okay, that sums up the Blitz section. Thank you very much. So let's go into the longer ones. So recently, there was announced JBoss Champion program, which is kind of a group of people who are advocating for JBoss tools and software. What is actually the point, and how does this adds value to the Java Champions program? Because since those exist for a long time now, and they are completely neutral from actual Oracle. So what does JBoss Champions bring to the table?
The idea here is to actually recognize people that are highly engaged with JBoss technology and with Red Hat technologies. And I think it is more than a recognition. It is also a good way of showing our support to them. I think the name is something that you'll see some announcements about shortly, and in general, I don't see any clashes with the Java champions. It's a total different focus because we want to support people working in open source, and we want to support people working with our JBoss technology. Right? So this is the whole point.
So it's less about the advocacy and evangelism and more about community, right?
Yeah, actually, the one comes with the other, at least to me. You know that I've been close to Red Hat forever, even when I've been very active around Oracle as a former ACE director. Red Hat is just thinking differently at that point because we support open source and we like sharing, and this is not only about code. It is also about sharing experiences. It's about sharing tutorials or lessons learned. Whatever those people actually bring to the table is something that this program highly recognizes and what it's all about. It's not only about, let's say, simple sales pitches from a developer. That's something that we really don't want to see. We want to see people who are highly engaged and just cheering for technology because they're convinced it works and because they're contributing to it.
That's very fair and awesome. So we'll stay waiting for the announcement that you mentioned. Really interesting thing. But let's stay on the community topic. So you organized and helped organizing JavaLand conference just last week, and judging by the Twitter response, it was amazing. So what would you recommend? So since you know the conference world inside out, being a speaker and being the organizer, and obviously watching tons of sessions, so what are the main benefits for developers could be, and how the best could be to like pick a conference to go if they cannot approach like all of them? So
This is a funny question because just a day after JavaLand, we had a kind of a feedback meeting with the whole IJAC, which is the German-speaking Java user group umbrella that we have in our area. It sums up 25 individual Java user groups and forms kind of a mouth organ for them. So, and we have those member meetings, and one of them was just the day after JavaLand, and we got a lot of feedback about the program and how they liked it, if it was good, if it was too deep, too broad, too whatever. And at the end of the day, it turned out that I had a really nice conversation with one of my peers there about this whole JavaLand conference it wasn't deep enough. There's not been bytecode in there. It was just all about learning something new, giving pointers, and about something that I'm interested in, where I'm already a specialist. There's been nothing in it for me, like no special session about Spring Boot, which really drills down to the deepest roots. And my response basically was that I think this is exactly what you have to expect from conferences. Conferences are for people who want to broaden their horizon in terms of just looking at new things, not only that what you do day by day and where you probably already a specialist in, but you definitely need to make sure that your brain keeps working. And part of that to me is that you look left and right and not only see what competitors are doing, but also what competing technologies are doing. So looking at Spring Boot as a Java EE developer is something, yeah, why not? And as an integration developer using heavyweight ESB solutions, why not look at Apache Camel and see what those framework approaches can give you? And for me personally, it's not helpful if I get a deep dive into Apache Camel as my first contact with that new technology. So I think it's a trade-off. If you really want to learn something from the ground up and want to dive into all the details, then you might look out for workshops, which is a good way to actually really get deep knowledge and specialized knowledge in topics. And if you want to have a decent sense about what's ongoing and state of the art, then you have a very broad selection on most of the conferences that I've seen. So I couldn't tell you that there's a single bad conference. I think there are pretty strong names that everybody should know, like Devoxx, Belgium especially. Devoxx UK looks awesome, so that's probably my next gig where you can meet me live and in person. And what else? Java 1, obviously, which is still a very expensive trip. It adds some more value because you get to see all the engineering people from Oracle. They don't have that much travel budget. By the way, where have you not been at JavaLand? And Jesus, sorry. Dev Nation and Red Hat Summit. So June, right? Whenever people get a chance to, devnation.org. We're actually in the pre-sale phase, so you get a decent rebate.
Devnation.org. Yeah, well, since we are advocating for conferences, I just want to mention that in June also there will be a Java conference in Estonia organized by our sponsor Zero Turnaround called Geek Out. Oh, that actually was sold out. So
guess who will be there? I'm so excited.
You're coming?
Yeah, sure.
Is that your first time on Geek Out or in Estonia in general?
Yes, be nice to me.
You will be nice. It's the best time to come to Estonia. The weather here is not that good usually, so June is the perfect time. Maybe just being competitive with like Christmas when it's like really fairy tale like. So I hope you'll have a great time in June.
Can't wait to be there.
I'll be happy to meet you here. So just to sum up the conference talk, I think it's true. You cannot learn very deep subjects on conference sessions. very deeply.
I actually know one exception, but that's so rare you won't even get accepted to that conference, which is the JVM Language Summit.
Yes, that's true. So, by the way, so this year at JFocus in Stockholm, they did on the workshop day, they did the JVM Language Summit like winter edition. So the same people, the same language designers and language implementators came there, and I was lucky to actually participate in that and watch. And that was an amazing experience. That is really somewhere where you learn the most hardcore details about JVM. But to be honest, they do publish all the videos. So if you're really interested, you can go and watch. Yeah, but that's true. Or you can just wait till we invite all of them to the virtual JOC, and then you can get the first-hand experience. So let's go back technical really quickly. And obviously, there were several questions about microservices and architecture during the session, so I won't repeat those. All you guys who are listening, you'll have to go and watch the session. It's worth it. It was really good. But I just want to ask, so Java EE versus Spring. During the session, you mentioned that Java EE is still kind of disappointing a little bit. And in that sense, do you think the competitive technologies like Spring are less disappointing, or maybe the approach that Spring takes with multiple kind of activator projects? So you take a small project and you answer a short survey what you want from the project, and you build your project with dependencies, right? So going library approach. And Java EE provides you still like a full bundle of things, which kind of makes learning curve a bit, well, it's different, right? So do you think the like bottom-up approach can be less disappointing, especially in our microservices age?
You've not quoted me totally correct. I think Java EE is disappointing when it comes to using it as a base for microservices, especially microservices. So, in general, I don't think that one technology over the other is generally superior or not. There is a tool for all problems. It's just a matter of which path you go down to. So I don't see any superior solutions, and I'm not going to talk down any of them because I know many reasons for using Spring in certain circumstances, and I've done that in the past. So on the other hand, I like Java EE a lot because I know it solves my enterprise issues out of the box, and many of my customers actually run it. So it's kind of the state of the art. It's always there. Introducing something new to bigger customers, we all know that this is yeah, even more than a challenge, right? So I can't tell you who is the correct technology supplier when it comes to the one and only microservices definition at the very moment. There are many ways. As I said, it could be a camel route. It's totally technology independent for me at the very moment. It all depends how the migration path for customers look like and what they are best at in terms of internal skills, like what the teams can operate, what their vendors actually can deliver in terms of quality. So it's all a complete mix of circumstances and requirements that need to be fulfilled. So prove me wrong.
Well, I cannot prove you wrong. It's definitely, it depends, and it depends much more on many more things than just development practices or preferences. You also have to deploy the final product somewhere, and you have to make sure that your operations team are on board with the technologies that you use. So it's great to know like both implementations, like both approaches, and just figure out what you need based on your actual needs rather than preferences and like myths. Thanks a lot. The last question, like really short and maybe a little bit more creative. So in 3-4 years, we will probably be drowning in microservices, and we'll have to refactor that back into more or less sensible monolithic applications because, well, everything goes back and forth. So do you think that challenge will be more complicated, that breaking monolithic applications into parts, or will that be easy, given that we have already experience with larger enterprisey monolithic apps?
I don't think so. I mean, in general, it's not a solution for every problem. So I hopefully will never be in a place where I actually have to turn millions of microservices back together into something valuable. Ouch. Yeah, so I don't think that it's binary at all. Microservices solve a certain kind of problems, and addressing them, it's just the right approach.
Yeah, I hope
Refactoring in general from left to right, whatever you name it, is always a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that it will be easier in 3-4 years, even if we go overboard with splitting things. Then later we can combine not all of them, but a couple of them, and be much happier as developers and as a community.
I'm pretty sure there will be new technologies.
Do you have an example? Something that's cooking in the Red Hat kitchen, maybe? Like really fresh, the age of technology.
There's a bunch. I actually mentioned Vertex. That might be something to have your eyes on. And I think the combination of what we learned from the past put onto new foundations, that might be the most interesting approach for the upcoming years.
Vertex. I'll look into it, and I recommend all people who are listening to us to look into that as well. So thanks, Markus, very much. It's been a great pleasure to ask you those questions. And this interview, along with a short recap of the session, will be published on the Rebel Labs blog. So go read that if you're just watching us on YouTube. Thank you, Markus. I hope we'll meet again and again on other Virtual Talk sessions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Estonia in June.
I can't wait for that. So I'll be there, and we'll have a beer. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Thank you.
Take care.